word out, because I don't think people realize the depth of what's going on. And I believe you're running, right? So I'd
Yeah.
love to have you, state your platform and just try to push it out, out there, spread the word as much as I can, you know.
Okay. Well,
Um,
briefly, for in 2008, the WGA pointed out inefficiencies in all our contracts, residuals and such. We went on strike. Shortly after that, Tom Hanks formed a party called Unite for Strength. In 2012, they achieved a majority in our union, and they also pushed through the merger with AFTRA. Now, the whole reason for the merger was AFTRA's pension was about to collapse. So all the A-listers and all got together. You had Rebecca Damon, who was an officer of AFTRA. They all pushed for this merger. Then you had Membership First fighting against it. So I became involved with Membership First because there was no opposing party in New York to oppose USAN, which is the party that UFS in LA and Tom Hanks started in New York as well. So UFS and USAN is really one party. And for the past 15 years, they've been negotiating contracts under the premise that our health and our pension was healthy. And it wasn't. So in 2020, Ed Asner and Pete Antico, who's running for Secretary Treasurer, started a lawsuit. The evening that Ed died, that morning we appeared in court, and for the first time we won a case against SAG. In that lawsuit, it was proven that our National Executive Director, Duncan, and the woman that negotiates for the AMPTP, Carol Lombardini, were guilty of malfeasance. They did not tell the members nor the negotiating committee that our health and pension was in such a dire state that it was about to collapse. And that resulted in the seniors, 8,000 seniors being thrown off healthcare, 4,000 regular members, and it resulted in a new ruling that seniors no longer, or actually retirees, could no longer apply their residuals as income for obtaining union health care. So
wow.
If you and I work, our income goes towards meeting the minimum income for health. But that doesn't apply to the retirees, which is insane. And at the same time, they took away the guaranteed health for 20-year members. They took it away. So you had thousands of members about to retire, and all of a sudden they couldn't retire because they couldn't get health care. It was just horrible. And that lawsuit proved it. But again, the members, very apathetic, they didn't know. We couldn't get the word out to them, or they just didn't believe it or ignored it. So then in 2020, UFS and USAN, remember that big, huge brochure with Tom Hanks on it saying, hey, I want to give you guys streaming residuals? Well, in that brochure, they said that they obtained massive streaming residuals. Another lie. They've been lying for 15 years. And now, because the WGA said, hey, we're getting nothing. We got 4-cent residuals and all this garbage, for streaming. Now the jig was up. As Fran said, the jig is up. Now, USAN, UFS, now they're put in a position where, oh my God, they're going to find out that it was our fault we don't have streaming residuals. So with productions all stopped, Hanks and the big leaders that run our union that shouldn't, because they're our biggest employers, said, okay, go strike. We got to strike. And plus, we're not doing anything anyway. WGA is effectively shut down Hollywood. So SAG-AFTRA put out strike authorization, which they should have did 15 years ago, but they didn't. So they did it now to kind of cover their asses. And now you have people in Membership First, which I highly respected, the party out in LA. And the last, I think, 3 elections I ran with Matthew Modine. He ran as national president, and I ran as New York president. Both of us didn't win, but I did file a case with the disciplinary committee in our union against Tom Hanks for interfering in the election. And they found him not guilty because they were all appointed by UFS appointed. The disciplinary committee for our union is appointed by Tom Hanks's party. So you can't win.
This is so much to unpack because I know people don't, I'm sure members don't know the
It
nitty
gets
gritty.
worse. It gets worse.
Can you move your hand again? I can do some editing, but people want to hear it from you. I'm just, the sounding board right now.
In this election, they formed a party called Unity 2023, which is some members of Membership First and members of Unite for Strength, the bad guys. But the members from Membership First is now ruled by Jolie Fisher. Jolie Fisher hasn't been able to get a national majority, so that she could ultimately rule the union like UFS does. So she got together with UFS to form Unity 2023. So they're all running together. She's being supported by all the parties, and Fran is being supported by all the parties. So what happened was the members of Membership First, who retain their integrity, and myself, who retains my integrity, would not join in with Unity 2023 because they're joining in with the people that are not being held responsible for lying for 15 years and causing us to go on strike. And right now we can't catch up with 15 years in losses, in givebacks, in contracts. We'll never get that back. So we can't have these people. And just recently, USAN put out a brochure for their election, and they're endorsed by Unity 2023. And we have candidates in New York that Jolie secretly approached to run in New York because she wants them to be delegates, because delegates can vote for the national VPs at convention in October. So Jolie is looking to take over the entire union for her own narcissistic purposes. And that's why Matthew Modine and the rest have walked off from Membership First, refused to join Unite 2023, and have come out with Pete Antico as independents. And unfortunately, the independents in New York are not independent. If you notice, a lot of them are campaigning saying they're independent, but in their statements, they list support for Unity 2023 and for M1/UFS, which is the combined Membership First and Unite for Strength. And the brochure that just came out, they're endorsing USAN in New York, which we fought against for the last 15 years. So it's very convoluted. The New York members don't understand. But what they have to understand is the independents are not independent. They're not. I mean, a few of them are. Some of them are. And I can give a list of them, like Kobe Jane, myself, All the people mentioned with Pete Antico's independent group, like Namakura, Nubia, who else? Oh my God. Terrence. Just an email went out. And as a matter of fact, I'm sending an email out again this week or on Monday, listing all my endorsements. So everyone in New York should look in their spam because it generally goes into spam. So, I mean, even my first email I sent out, the majority went into spam. And as far as my position, what I want to do and what we can do to help the union, number one, Pete Antico and Maya Dunbar are running. Maya Dunbar is running against Fran. A lot of people have a problem with those people because they were against mandatory vaccinations. But that's not an issue any longer. So I wouldn't really worry about that. They're really great for the union. My position is 15 years, this party, we paid for our leaders to lobby individual states and foreign governments to give tax credits to the producers. So in New York, we have $700 million. They get upwards of 40% free cash from taxpayer monies, but it goes directly into Tom Hanks and the producer and the AMPTP's pockets. What I want is when I go up to Schumer or whatever senator I'm talking to, okay, you're going to give me 30%? You're going to finance 30% of these films? I want 5% of that to go into a SAG-AFTRA fund for the members. We should get a piece of that pie. And the other problem is foreign governments now, the AMPTP and the producers, have this bidding war all over the world and all among the states. Who can give the most money to the producers? Now, we can lobby in the states to get money into SAG. Foreign government, we have to go to Washington. Now, when they go to Washington to lobby, they should tell our senators they are exporting an American business, especially to China. We are exporting, and there are laws against exporting American business and technology to foreign governments. So when these producers unpatriotically go to Poland or anywhere else to shoot a film and accept foreign cash, they're exporting American business and they're not hiring American crew, American talent. They're exporting our business. Now we have to lobby Washington to say, Poland, if you're going to pay $100 million to these producers, then we're going to decrease our foreign aid to you, or we're going to sanction you in some way to equal that loss of money and jobs that's going to Poland. And our union hasn't been doing this because they're working exclusively for our producers. We are now effectively an employer-run union. Our union is run by our employers and for the benefit of our employers. And no one's getting the message out. And Unity 2023, under the guise of uniting to get us a contract, it's not helping us. Not at all. Does that make any sense?
I have a lot of questions and a lot to unpack because I know you're in the trenches, but I want to make this sort of like, very like almost like a Pez dispenser type of sound
Palliative.
palliative that people can really digest this because there's a lot. And I love this. First of all, I'd love to know if your party has a website. Maybe people want to reach out, donate, spread the word.
Well, I have a website coming online. They can just go to I believe it's membernews.com. It's Pete Antico. He had sent a email out to all the members. So I have voteforchange.New York City, which will be online in another day or two, and everything will be in that.
Okay, so let's get into because I've interviewed tons of people on here before, and they have touched upon on what you said. promise your actors a trip to Italy. You know, Italy now, Sicily even is giving 40%,
Yeah,
you know, to shoot in Sicily, you know. So, you know, so they'll say, you know, load your actors up on a plane. They'll be grateful for the trip and some vacation, you know, it's like free vacation, and you go do your film over there, and, you know, you could pay actors $20 a day or what have you, you know, and, you know,
yeah,
their lodging, and you've made your film in a beautiful location. So this really, you know, it's kind of bad advice you're saying, because, you know, now, you know, we've exploited American talent, and, you know, they're not probably from a deal like this would never see a dime for pension and towards pension and health, um, you know, and we've, you know, cut off, you know, America's nose to spite its face type thing.
exactly.
You know, so you're saying this isn't a fair practice, and let's say people want to do it, then it's up to Washington to get involved, or to a party like yours to delegate, okay, you do want to do this, I understand you might need Sicily as a backdrop, um but, you know, you have to regulate that a
Right.
percentage would come back in to the pockets of, you know, actors that are in the union for, you know, their golden years for when they do need pension and health. Because I think people don't know, and this is kind of, you know, I believe it's $12,000 a year, right? Once you make $12,000 a year, the union will guarantee you full health
No,
benefit.
they raised it up to almost 27,000 now.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Thing to unpack here is that you are saying, should you be elected, you will make sure that you get an interview with Congress, with Schumer, whomever, you know, the powers to, that be at Washington, to regulate this practice. That's one of your running points then.
Well, yeah, well, we absolutely have the power. We have a governmental a group that does that. All they do is lobby, and they just don't ask for money to go to the members because they're on Hanks's, you know, they're on his paycheck. I mean, really, think about any member in any of the political parties. Just that one brochure that was sent out in the last election, that's about $1.05, and there are roughly 200,000 members. Now, who's going to spend that? And they sent it nationally, and they sent it just to New York.
I
In New
don't know
York,
why your
it's like
camera's
30,000.
trembling a little bit.
Oh, sorry,
All right.
it's my iPhone. I'm holding it up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So I wonder, have you gotten backlash from Hanks's camp? Has he said anything to you directly, or
No,
his
no,
people?
no. You have to understand. If he ever said anything, then I would go on a publicity. I would have the same media
Um,
attention that he has. So it's wise not to. But he did have to answer my charges. And there were articles in Deadline announcing, yay, Tom Hanks won the lawsuit. And they named me, you know, he won the charges brought against him. If you notice, 2 years ago, there were big articles, Hollywood Reporter, it just said, Tom Hanks wins union charges. He won the charges filed against him, and it put my name down and a few other people that had filed the same charges. But that's it. And but then those newspapers, I'm not allowed to comment on them because he rides shotgun over it. Every
wow.
time I make a comment, it's never published. But others can make crazy comments, and but I just present facts, and it's never, you know, never published. So, you know, there's really a media blackout on me. Very, very hard for
Oh,
me to get
sure.
any attention.
Sure. Yeah, no, you know, I think it's undeniable at this point that media has such biases over everything and everyone, you
Yeah,
know. truly undeniable. It's the reason why podcasts are so popular, because at least people can, try to, other views are presented,
Yeah.
and it's up to the person that digests them to decide what they believe to be the actual fact. And it's sad that we have to kind of go on a hunt for, truth, but yeah, no, that's undeniable. But a lot of
Well,
the other things
Katerina,
yes.
think about how those of us in the know that have been doing this for almost 20 years. I mean, I'm not a celebrity, but I do have access to all the celebrity politicians because of my years of activism, of being an activist in the union. And think how we feel when I see Duncan Crabtree Ireland, who hid all of this from us, from the union, and destroyed our pension and health. And now he's being touted as a hero. And just so the members know, Unity 2023 and UFS and USAN just extended his contract another 4 years and gave him a raise when he's the reason we're here. And poor Fran, I'm sure she wants to do the right thing, but she doesn't have the majority of the board, and she can be expunged from the union. She has to watch what she says. Honestly.
So yeah, because see, this is so informative, because what on the surface I think the media is portraying this all about, into it's in there as well. But what we've heard, like, things like, the actors are on strike because Disney is only offering to pay $300 for a body scan, and effectively it would be, killing background actors. It would be done, right? It would be done. People would,
Yeah.
right? And those people that rely on that $27,000 a year to get their health benefits, they'd be, they'd be done. They'd be obsolete. All background actors would be
That's
obsolete.
true.
So this
True.
is part of what we're hearing, but, in no way is the media covering what you're saying with all the ins and outs and the inside politics of it.
Because they're covering the stars, the celebrities. Let them cover, independent candidates. I've been an independent candidate for almost 20 years, but I've never been able to attain the national or local board in New York because I just don't have the finances to send out a brochure. I don't have $30,000 every 2 years. I don't. And I don't have stars recommend. I just don't.
But it's really interesting what you're saying is, too, above and beyond that even if Fran, whom everybody has been saying is doing a good job, everybody loves, like, who doesn't love the nanny fighting for us?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're saying even her hands are tied and she can't, really broadcast all of this.
No, her career will be ruined, and she's threatened with expulsion. Matter of fact, Fran has helped me a few times. She really wants to help, but she can only do what she can do. For instance, she wanted to have a private Zoom call with me. She just sent me an email. But there are 11 people that are monitoring every one of her emails and conversations. She cannot talk freely to me or offer any help, or they will throw her out of the union or do something to her. It's a shame, which is why we have to take control of the national board away, or we have to, which I wish we could. I'm going to try. We have to bring it to the Justice Department. Our employers have taken over our union. It's racketeering.
There was an article today that just before getting on this call, I saw the headline in my inbox from Variety that's saying the WGA is saying the media gatekeepers today are Netflix, Amazon, and Disney.
Right.
that those are the people running the ball, and it just seems, like everybody's just so behooving of them. It's come down to that Nine Inch Nails song, "Will you bite the hand that feeds you?" Right?
Right.
That's essentially where we are. Or if you want to do it in biblical terms, this is the David and Goliath moment,
Yeah,
right?
without the
Because
slingshot. That's right. I'm David without a slingshot. So, it's hard. And as a matter of fact, we passed a resolution for, I think, 4 years or 6 years ago that the union had to have a debate, had to finance a debate for all the candidates. So we'd all have an opportunity, those of us that weren't in a party and didn't have $1 million to campaign. But the national board, again, has refused to vote on it, has refused to implement it. But they put in our election guide that they may, offer us a debate. May. They don't have to, and they haven't. And this new unity party refuses to debate us. So where's their unity? Where's their newfound unity? They're doing the
wow.
same tactics as UFS. Half of membership first has become narcissistic. They're outed as being narcissists. That's why there's a split. That's why Antico and Modine and Asai Morales have all walked away and gone independent because they have integrity. So, and I mean, I have their support in LA, but I have no support in New York. I fight USAN alone, and USAN is UFS. So
You have to have some kind of constitution. I just got to tell you, because I mean, I can only imagine what you're up against, just like, because everybody says business is not personal, but I think that's the biggest, BS ever.
Yeah.
It's such a false cliche. Because how can you not take this personal? You're up against like Tom Hanks and the Hollywood machine is what it feels like. How do you keep yourself going through all this? Like you just said, David, without the slingshot, how do you the perseverance that you must have?
A good psychologist, and the joke is when I got out of the military, I had really bad PTSD. And I tried to go into acting. My first wife was friends with Kathleen Nolan, former president of SAG, and she was friends with Strasberg. So I was introduced to Lee. I studied with Lee, but then I couldn't make any money. So I went into business. And then after years of stress, a psychiatrist told me go back into acting, be around creative people. And I was happy as hell. And then when Hanks took over and I saw what was going on, I got into politics and all the PTSD came back. My career went down the shitter. And that's why I can be so vocal now. There's nothing more they can do to me. They can't blacklist me any further. They can't do anything. So, I'm able to speak my mind. And I'm one of the few who can speak his mind.
I will never forget what you did for me on set.
Oh.
Yeah, and I think it's so important because that's what we're losing. So I'm gonna start again by introducing you. This is Kevin Cannon. He is a wonderful actor. He is a member of SAG, and he's also running for New York president.
No, vice president.
New York vice president.
There's 4 people running, and it's a 2-year term. And so I realized I'd have a better chance of running for vice president, as there are 4 positions. And if I got the most votes, I'd end up having a 4-year term, and I'd be around for our next negotiation in 3 years.
Brilliant strategy. And I just really believe people need to know this about you because you're on fire. You're on fire with all that you're doing, but the interaction of how we met is just proof and positive of that.
Okay.
We were working background on a movie. I don't remember which one it was. We were somewhere in Brooklyn, and I had a picture car that day. And my car just decided, as we had to, just before we broke for lunch, we had to move them across the street, and I noticed I had no brakes.
Yeah. I was worried about you getting home.
Yeah, seriously, it was a nail biter. But what happened is Kevin and I were talking on the lunch line, and Kevin is the type of person, this is what he did for me. He put down his food after I told him about my car and went to go work on my car. And this is what we're missing today, and this is what we're missing if God forbid people don't vote for you, is that personal touch, that I'm here to serve attitude, because I don't think many people, you don't know, if you're not actors or in the business, you don't know that you have these grueling hours on set. You're there from, AM to PM, sometimes 13 hours or more. And so really when it's that break that you're there to have that little bit of fuel to keep you going, like you want that, but no, you're the type of person that you sacrifice in order to help others. So I will
Okay,
always
you're
remember.
embarrassing me.
No, no,
You're embarrassing
no,
me.
but it's true. And then just in speaking to you, that's evident. But I just, I have to give that example because so much is there, right? So by, approving this body scan thing and, abolishing background acting, you're doing so much. Not only getting rid of people's, a means of, their livelihood, but the community that's made on set, the friendships that are formed. And
Yeah.
from that friendship, we've done our own projects together, right? We've done 2 independent films together. We're doing this interview now. So we're really losing that human aspect aside from the financial, because anybody could say, oh, well, you'll make your money some other way or whatever, but you're really losing that spark of relationship, of the possibilities of doing other projects together. We're really losing that humanness
Oh yeah.
by.
That's ever since the merger.
Yeah.
And you want to hear something bad? I had a little town hall last Friday
Oh,
on the 11th, and I had it scheduled for the 6th. I totally forgot that 6 weeks ago I booked a national commercial with Cyndi Lauper for the
wow.
skin cream, the Novartis, that pill to help with the skin problem, and I totally forgot. And some of the people couldn't make the August 6th, so I changed it to the 11th. I sent out all the emails to all in New York, and then on the evening of the 10th, I got a call reminding me I had the commercial on the 11th,
Oh,
and I went, "Oh my God!" So I had to give up a national commercial to do this. You
wow.
know, so it does hurt, hurt a lot. That would have been a really, monetarily wise, it would have been fantastic. But Providence assisted me, and now I just got a call for a national commercial in LA, which I just auditioned for last night. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it makes up for the other one that I had to turn down. So, and just to let members know, what I've been doing for years, if I have to back out of a booking, I have a group of members that share my same physical attributes. And so instead of leaving the casting and the production company, going crazy trying to recast the role, within 24 hours or whatever, I give them the option I call up these people that have my same characteristics, physically, and I feel are good actors, and I offer them to participate in trying to get the role. So, it's one way you can help members, by doing that.
Wow. Wow, always thinking of everybody.
Yeah, I gave the
Yes.
national commercial away to somebody else. Instead of leaving it up to casting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
so, and you were also saying you're a veteran, which, I think is also so amazing.
yeah, I'm matter of fact, I'm a national spokesperson for the VA, and I just in July, no June, in June I did a national PSA for the VA, and Catherine Bigelow directed me, so I got to meet from the Hurt Locker,
Yes,
and
yes, yeah. No, I
so
admire her
yeah,
work.
yeah. So it was really, really nice, really nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. See, no, see, this to me just all speaks to your character. You know, no, we really, truly, we need somebody like you. I sincerely, sincerely hope you win this election. Because like, see what everybody is getting, so transparent who you are and what your ethics are, because it's all followed up by your actions, right?
Well, you can. I mean, this was the brochure from the last election. Right after they got caught lying for 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
massive residuals. It's just a brochure where they're you know crowing that they've gotten massive streaming residual gains. If I have massive streaming residual gains, if that was true, why did I get a 4 cent residual check for streaming? It, all lies, all propaganda. It's amazing, and members just don't realize it.
I know that I spoken to someone who is in the WGA, and they were saying that, even if they write for a Netflix show,
Right.
it's not enough to sustain a lifestyle. They still need a day job.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we never used to. When we were the Screen Actors Guild, we could do a commercial, do a principal role on network, and we were good for a few months. You could go get better training, do whatever, audition, and now, it's a freelancer job. You got to have another job. It's horrible.
I know before I joined SAG, if you were featured, right, you'd get more money. It would be like a pay grade above normal background. That went away. Like I didn't catch that at all, and I've been featured.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it just seems like progressively things are getting taken away instead of added.
Well, that it's when we were the Screen Actors Guild, someone like Tom Hanks or De Niro, who has what $600 million studio now in Astoria, New York, financed with government taxpayer money, um, they weren't allowed to interfere in our elections. Tom Hanks would have never been able to be on this brochure, you know, or even paying for it. But our new constitution, SAG-AFTRA, totally different. Totally produces, it's just totally different. It weakened our union, and it was done on purpose. The merger was done so that the producers could control our union and keep us from hurting their income by going on strike or demanding more money. It was to control us, and this is the yoke we have to throw off, that I've been trying to throw off for almost 20 years. So, and like you say, Goliath without a good slingshot. So, and this year, I mean, over the years, I've spent my savings on trying to campaign, and then with the pandemic, um, I can't tell you how many members asked me to help them get money from SAG or the Actors Fund, and I ended up paying their rent out of my own money. And 90% of them think that the money I gave them was from SAG. They don't they
God
don't
bless
realize
you.
it was from my own pocket. So now I'm like, I pay my bills, but I don't have the nest egg that I had. So, you know,
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and that's
No,
why I get so angry when they see these people with their propaganda lying and it. I got to keep fighting,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, oh, of course. Yeah, I know the alternative is just to lay down. And no, and it's terrible. Like, oh, it makes sense what you said with the 4 cent residual because like Netflix isn't counted as a theatrical release, right? So yeah, it's all these people that came up and kind of, took over the system are making the rules now.
They
Um,
knew it 15 years ago about streaming, and now they're talking about it. Think about it. For 15 years, they ignored streaming. And now, only because the WGA brought it to the public, brought it to the light, what's been going on, now oh, we got to get streaming. But it's been there 15 years. Same with
right.
AI. Same with AI.
Because theatrical is like just for people that don't, so it's more understandable for people that aren't in the industry. So like with Netflix not being counted as a theatrical release, even though like 12 million people could watch a movie on there, it's being counted as something less than something, as if you were in a theater,
Well,
right?
the same thing with network. When you work for a network, we have
Mhm.
fantastic residuals, but they're not putting anything on network. They put it on streaming because they know, they'll have to pay me in 3 months $1,000. Let's say they put it on streaming, they pay me 4 cents. So, and there's no difference between Peacock and NBC Channel 4. The consumer doesn't care, where they watch it or how they watch it. And the real kick in the ass was that there was a federal ruling in the 1950s, like 1957 or something, that ruled that everything, all broadcasts in any way, shape, or form, whether it's streaming, they didn't say streaming, but in any way of transmission, is all SAG, our domain. So when they forced the merger, saying, "Oh, AFTRA's going to take our shows," they couldn't. All we had to do was go to the NLR, National Labor Review Board, and boom, as SAG did many times before when AFTRA tried to step on our jurisdiction. But again, they lied. Ken Howard and that group of producer-centric actors lied, and that's what and pushed the merger without fully investigating our pension or our health if it could be merged. And at that time, I was screaming about that also. So,
Yeah.
it's a continuous fight against these people and to educate the members, but I don't have the money. So, well, what are you going to do?
You're too busy paying the other members' rent.
Well, not now. Everything is over now. But
Right, right. No, but
but
still, sorry.
but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just greed to the utmost all around then,
Oh my God. How many how many yachts can you own? Really? How many houses can you own? It's disgusting. Really.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
yeah. So where do you see it going? Because like you foresaw that the merger with SAG-AFTRA, that with SAG with AFTRA, which for people again that don't know was the union of people like for radio talent, right?
Yeah,
Not for on
the only thing
camera.
we had to do with AFTRA, um, some of the talk shows, they might use an extra or a principal in. And, we made so little money with AFTRA that there was no need to merge with them, except for the fact that their pension was about to go bust from mismanagement. And immediately when we merged, SAG gave 80% of our television to AFTRA to support their pension. So they wouldn't lose their pension, all the A-list broadcasters. So, and so 80%, and that contributed 15 years later to the destruction of our health care by giving that 80% away.
Wow.
And you can Google it. You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
Google it. 2012, it was in Deadline. Jonathan Handel did a 3-part series on
And
it. Of the Screen Actors Guild's television revenue, what goes into SAG, pension, and health was given to AFTRA. And that further split our earnings.
wow.
Yeah.
And now there is nothing on the table to replenish this.
No. No. And it can be easily done. All they have to do is when we lobby the states to give more money to the producers to make their films in those states, we ask for a percentage to be given to us off the top to share in the pie with the producers. And we put that into an emergency fund or for any reason we want. And the other thing is, we have to raise our dues ceiling. I mean, I think I'm forgetting what it is now. It might have gone. I think it's $1 million. After $1 million, you don't have to pay, on any of your income. Tom Hanks, all these people making $100 million a year, $1 billion a year, they got to pay their fair share. Whatever I pay as a percentage, rank and file, they pay as a percentage. And if they're in a particular state, or if they cannot take it off as a tax deduction, I offered an alternative that we set up a separate foundation like the Actors Fund, which is for non-union people, for anybody. But we as SAG-AFTRA set up a SAG-AFTRA, there's a SAG-AFTRA fund, but we set up a fund that money would go into and would be a nonprofit. So if you're an A-lister and you're like, there's not going to be a tax write-off, I'm against paying those dues. Well, we give them a choice to put it into a nonprofit that we use to pump up our pension, pump up our health, help a member that can't make $26,000 to have our health. There's so many ways we can help. We can, we didn't have to buy a building in LA. We could have went to New Mexico or Kansas, anywhere where as a corporation, we could have gotten a 10-year tax abatement, some kind of credit to relocate our back office and our employees there where we don't have to pay Los Angeles salaries, and just had a beautiful representative office for the members in LA. I mean, they're wasting money hand and foot. It's ridiculous. We even paid over $100,000 to have that silly logo made. Think about it. They didn't farm it out to the members. They just hired a company that somebody knew. They could have asked the members, what do you want the new logo to be? And let the members make that money, but they didn't. More nepotism. And did you know that our past president, Rebecca Damon, is now an employee in New York, making well over $150,000 a year plus expenses and enjoying good health and a good pension now? She's no longer, a member of SAG-AFTRA. She's an employee. And she's doing the same job she did for free for 20 years. Get that. I even want to have them hire rank and file in New York. Have them gradually replace the employees so that they don't have to have a second job. You can have two members doing one job, one clerical job in our New York office, and they could take turns working, part-time. They share it. And when one of those two, that team, has an audition, they don't have to take off, lose money. Boom, right away. They go to the audition, and the second person they're working with does their job that day. I mean, there are all sorts of ways, and to keep and they should keep the office open 24 hours. How many times are you stuck in a bad neighborhood waiting for a train to go back to Long Island or a bus to New Jersey or Connecticut, and you're stuck for hours waiting? Why can't you go to the office and network and have a few snacks, some coffee, tea, and have a room to, with a camera to do auditions, to tape auditions in? No reason why we can't have it 24 hours. None whatsoever.
That is beautiful.
What?
That is beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a wonderful idea. As we were saying before, that you bring that humanity back. Exactly.
Yeah.
Network, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it makes this so much more interesting because I've been wondering why, like, the Producers Guild hasn't been vocal, in this too. Like, make it like a four-prong effect, the
Well,
Directors Guild.
they did just recently because
Oh,
everybody's blaming the producers for, being greedy. And they just made an announcement that they're the Producers Guild. They're not the AMPTP, which is the organization that negotiates our master contracts for the studios. It's the studios, not the producers, that are bad guys, even though some are bad guys, you know. Um, but they just made a big announcement not to confuse the producers union with the AMPTP and the
oh, great.
studios. So they did clarify that.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying because like too like what I thought was interesting, like everybody's been reposting what Mark Ruffalo said and just like, okay, let's work with all the indies now, and just kind of, snuff out the light of the studios because right now
Yeah.
like everybody's right, like everything is at a halt, but I do see some productions that are under the SAG-AFTRA banner and SAG-AFTRA actors working. So like just to clarify, it's not a strike against like if you and I just raised $100,000 to go shoot a film, you know we can still hire SAG-AFTRA actors. This is more so for like the Disneys
Yeah.
of the yeah.
Yeah, but they forgot. Well, they didn't forget on purpose. They made the interim agreements, and a lot of major films were greenlit. But then the WGA, again, our savior, the WGA, turned around after a month or so and said, "Hey, SAG-AFTRA, don't you realize those major productions have WGA writers?" In effect, they were having us SAG-AFTRA members cross the picket line, and we didn't even know.
Wow.
So now they adjusted it so that it has to be projects that aren't that don't concern WGA writers, independent projects that don't have WGA writers. But my question to Duncan and the rest of them was, are you going to cancel the productions you already greenlit that had the WGA writers? Are you going to stop them? No, they're not. Because again, they're being duplicitous. Absolutely duplicitous.
Wow.
Really convoluted, isn't it?
It is tremendous. I'm still mind blown over the Tom Hanks thing.
Well, you're looking at the last brochure, hundreds of thousands of dollars to send it, and he says, the future of SAG-AFTRA is streaming. Members deserve more residuals and all sort. We deserve the kitchen sink. And in the May 15th membership meeting this last May in New York, I asked Ezra and I asked the board. I kind of tricked Ezra. I said, "Hey, Ezra, that was really great what you did. With Netflix, you negotiated a separate contract apart from the AMPTP." He goes, "Yeah, that was good." I said, "So with this brochure, why didn't you ask Tom 2 years ago? So, where's our money? Where's the check? How come Playtone, which is the studio he owns, why hasn't he increased his payments of our streaming residuals or increased our salaries, or, our minimums that he pays us?" And he said, "Well, I don't know, Tom." So I showed him the brochure. I said, "Hey, there's your picture right there. There's Tom. He started your party. He started UFS." And then immediately they said, "Oh, sorry, your time is up." And I said, "You're not going to answer me." And they just sat there silent, refusing to answer. So, other than them, shaking their head and making me look like, trying to make what I'm saying foolish. So, this is the ilk of the people that are running. I mean, don't forget, they're actors. They're actors.
Yeah.
And they're doing a good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Are fooling us,
Yeah.
of their public persona. So, It's a horrible situation.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, thank God for the WGA, right? And it usually,
Yeah,
everybody, the people that are most overlooked are usually the writers.
yeah, but I'm telling you, in 2008, they went on strike. Now they're going on strike again. They brought all this to light. Our leaders had no choice but to strike. You know, they,
Yeah, because it took them a while, right? The writer's strike started at least a month before, no?
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I mean, it didn't harm them. I mean, production was stopped already by the
Right,
WGA.
right, right.
So what better time to get credibility with the members than this, unity, let's go on strike. They would have
Yeah.
never went on strike if the WJ didn't go on strike. You would have just been delivered a really bad contract, again, and more
Right.
lies. But now they're trying to be, member centric, which they are not.
Yeah.
Believe me. I mean, I have personal dealings with them all, and they have absolutely no integrity. I mean, you can just look at all the bad contracts and the state that the union is in now. The dire state: no health, no pension. Uh, you know, thousands of members, joining every day just to keep the dues up and to keep the salaries of the
Wow.
employees. Remember how hard it was to get a waiver to get into SAG
Yeah, yeah.
when we were the Screen Actors Guild? People spent 10 years to get 3 waivers,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now they're gone like water. Gone. Everybody gets a waiver.
Wow.
Like over 500 people a day, I think, are joining in New York or something, or a
I
week.
wonder if they would. I mean, is there this level of transparency where they would release what's in the pension and health funds?
Yeah, I mean, every year you can look at the financials, and the unions lets out an LMRDA, which is our expenses and all every year, but people don't look.
Right,
I
right.
mean, Pete Antico has published it a million times. His website, either membernews.com or membershipnews.com, I can't remember, but has all sorts of information. But again, I just sent an email out. It was 6 pages, and
Uh-huh.
people tell me I didn't have time to read the whole thing. It was too long. Ah, out of your mind? It's your union. If you were on trial, wouldn't you listen to the attorney when you read what he's saying?
Yeah,
I mean, come on, read, learn. Educate. I try and educate the members, but they don't want to be educated.
right.
It's like when I go on set after every election, the last 15 or so years, I go, who here voted? I didn't have time. I forgot. There was an election? I've had people get killed in elections. Come on. Really?
Yeah.
And now I thought I had a shot this year by running for VP, but Joe Lee Francis and UFS made an agreement not to campaign or interfere in the locals. But what do you know? Joe Lee's been aggressively recruiting candidates, new people to run in New York. And all these people that are saying they're independent were all recruited by Jolie. I mean, not all of them, but, the majority of them were. And now Jolie has left them, hasn't financed them, hasn't, endorsed or done anything. And now they're all up on GoFundMe trying to get money to send emails out and help their campaign. And they're advertising Unity 2023 and M1 US/UFS, which is the combination of Membership First and Unite for Strength, Tom Hanks's party, and then the new party, Unity 2023. So how can they be independent? And I asked them today in some chat groups, I said, how can you put Unity 2023 in your campaign material, say you're an independent, say you're fighting against USAN, when Unity 2023 endorsed USAN? So they're endorsing the party that's endorsing the party that we're supposedly fighting against. Does it make any sense?
No, I think people are really going to get invested in this because they see your passion and they see all you've been up against. So which party the ballots went out? Who do we vote for? Obviously, you for vice president of New York, Kevin Cannon. But who's the party? Who are the people
Let
that
me let me get the exact 1 minute.
Sure.
I'll tell you. UnionMemberNews.com will list all the people that New York and Nash and the locals should vote for. It has a list of people that are truly independent in every local. And the opposition says it's a slate, a party, because they're all together. But they're all together because individually they cannot afford to send out material, brochures and everything.
Right.
And also individually, they all are the same in their need to help the union, and they all agree about the crimes that have been committed against us for 15 years. And in UnionMemberNews.com, they'll list me as supporting me, but I don't have my picture or statement because, as usual, I do not want to be in any type of any appearance of being on a slate. I'm an independent. I don't owe anybody anything. I send my own emails. I pay for my own emails. I don't have a GoFundMe. How can I ask a member who needs my help to pay for my help?
Wow.
I mean, I should, but I don't. And that's the deal. I finance everything on my own. I might be an idiot, but
not at all.
But they will endorse me as when Matthew Modine was in Membership First, they endorsed me in their emails every year, but they didn't put me like in a slate in their brochures. I refused all that because then I would have had to be a Membership First, and that's a party, and I don't believe in a party. I believe in every member, every individual member having their individual vote. Like we were in SAG, every member, every vote, which isn't the case now. So, like a convention, delegates, the delegates you vote for the national VPs. The members don't, and I'm against that. I like SAG when every individual had their own vote and a say in the union. So that's why you won't see all these parties supporting me a lot, which is to my detriment. I probably could have been elected, but I would have had to be elected owing someone something. So, and I won't owe anybody anything.
What a fresh voice. Wow. What a fresh voice you have. You'll never hear.
I've been doing this for 20 years. It's not
fresh in terms of people hearing that. Fresh in terms of, people hearing that.
Well, briefly, let me just say something in my favor to help my election. Everyone running is just screaming about we have to get more background, more this, more that, but they don't have a plan. They don't have the experience to have a plan. As I said, my plan is when we lobby the government, we do not give all the money, all the tax money, all the tax credits to the studios. We take a portion for the members. We employ the members, okay? When they come into New York to produce a film, I sit down with the production company and I say what the parameters are of them shooting in New York, how they cannot abuse our members. And they have to respect, number one, featured background has to be an upgrade. When you're pertinent to the scene, it's in our contracts. It's an upgrade. You're not background. Unless you're doing nondescript.
There's no excuse for any of their dealings, but I'll enough about them. Let's talk about you. Your platform is, you were saying,
my platform, unlike everyone else screaming, why don't we have increased salary? Why don't we have more background on set? Why don't we have this? Why don't we have that? If you want to lead, you want to help the members by being elected. You're not supposed to ask why. You're supposed to tell them what your solutions are. I mean, everybody's saying the same thing, but members want answers. They don't want questions. So my answers are: stop paying our employees and our elected officials to lobby states and foreign governments to give money in the form of upwards of 40% assistance in filming to the AMPTP, to producers. When the $700 million New York has, at least 10% of that should have went to SAG, that we can use to augment the need for members to make $26,000 a year for health. For whatever reason, we should get a piece of that pie. Our people shouldn't be working for the AMPTP. Okay? We also should be lobbying Washington to stop the producers and the AMPTP from farming our industry out to foreign governments. We shouldn't be farming the film industry out. It's an American business. We should be protecting it and trying to keep it in America. And if the greedy producers go where the money is, then if, let's say, Poland, we're giving them foreign aid, we should deduct that foreign aid from the money we're losing and not in them not filming here in America. I mean, they're hiring a non-union crew. They're not hiring. It's crazy. They're taking money out of America. If they do that, they should be penalized. Okay, we should be allowing members to work in New York, sharing jobs to augment their finances, so that they don't have to take regular jobs out with regular people. Who wants to work with regular people? We're creatives. We should have the union, the office open 24 hours a day to keep our members safe and not have to wait around 3-4 hours for, a 7 o'clock bus when they wrap at 2 a.m. and miss the last bus. When they come in to produce in New York, I sit down with the producers and I say, look, this garbage isn't going to go on anymore. We're not waiving people. You're going to hire all union. There's plenty of union people. You don't have to waive a non-union. Sorry. When you take a union member and you put them in what you call a featured role, we go back to SAG, where when you were in that featured role, you were necessary to that production. You were pertinent to the script. So you should be upgraded, not kept as background or given, $20 extra. Make it mandatory. The out of season, they suffer. Members suffer without being paid for that. Let's see. Additional tax, right. George Clooney gave $14 million, $1 million each to 14 of his friends. Let's raise the dues cap. A-listers should pay what we pay. And that would be hundreds of millions of dollars that we can immediately use to help the members. Board meetings should be transparent. They should Zoom every board meeting. Members want to know what we're doing and what we're not doing, and just a whole plethora of other things, making producers respect the members like they did with SAG. We could also, like a key grip and a key PA, we have key background. A certain background now rep us on set. Anything goes wrong on set, they act like a rep. We have a shortage of reps. Why not have background double as reps? We have a key rep. And we pick out a background. There's one background on each set that's key. Background has a problem. They say to that one key background rep, that one key rep has a number directly to me, and I authorize the set to be shut down if they don't listen to us, or not shut down if they're willing to comply with the contract. We got to get strong. We got to get strong with these producers. They have to respect our members in every category. And that's about it. Oh, and have member orientation mandatory, and teach them the history of SAG so we never get here again. We never get 15 years of lying. They have to all be educated if they want to be in this union. And again, stop the rampant giving away of waivers. It's insane. There are too many members for too few jobs. And a lot of them are retired guys who, really don't belong here. They really, they're taking money away from a guy that's trying to, get ahead in the union, get principal roles. And concerning principal roles, we have a thing in our contract that monthly we got to have a CD meet and greet. It's always background casting directors. We got to force legitimate casting directors to come in and show a legitimate career path for our members to elevate themselves and get principal roles. It's just ridiculous. We have no training program. So, that's about it. And I could read what I sent out to the members, but just look in your spam and try and read my whole email. It was 6 pages, but I couldn't get past the first page. Come on, read it all. Yeah, read it all, or don't complain. Shut your mouth. Or go get a job somewhere else. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I am so grateful for your time, your passion, your fight. You're on the picket lines and everything, and you're here to educate us all. And again, I really do hope you win this election.
I got complimented. I had a Mr. Softy truck at on Broadway the other day, 1515, when we were picketing, and all the members said it felt like when we were the Screen Actors Guild again in production, and reward us with a mud truck or something like that. But it was from me. So I spent
So
what
you
little I have
sent a
left of my
Mr.
money.
Softy truck to the picket line with your money.
The what?
You sent a Mr. Softy truck to the picket line with your money the other day.
Yeah, and everybody thought it was from the union, but it wasn't.
Wow. Wow. See, God bless you. Truly, I am blessed to know you. And yeah, no, I want to talk with you again. In a couple of weeks, let's see how everything goes, or a couple of days, what have you. But yeah,
All right. And whoever is at, where is it again? No.
Union News.
Yeah. Where did I say it? UnionMemberNews.com. They're all the people to vote for. I think you'll see my name written there, but you won't see my picture or an endorsement, because as I say, I don't want to be associated with any slate, but that's Matthew Modine and all the good people that used to be in membership first, that all got together so they could all, pool their money to try and, save the union. But I don't want to be associated with any slate. I prefer to be totally independent. So, and also my website will be up in the next day or two. VOTEFOR change.New York City. Vote for change.New York City. So those 2 websites, and just everybody vote for me, because even if I don't have the majority in New York, believe me, they do not like me, and they do not want me in their face in that boardroom. They do not want me there. So I may not have the majority, but they don't want me there. And believe me, I will be transparent and let them cease further spreading lies. Absolutely. That's it. And if I don't win, I'll be here in 2 years. I'll be back in 2 years until I get Asner, until I'm dead.
No. We need you here. There's no dying on your book.
Okay.
Not
Sounds
part
good.
of your script. Not part of your script.
Sounds good, Katerina. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure's all mine.